So what if I told you that your healthcare practice probably has a pretty serious financial leak? And no, I'm not talking about insurance claim denials or expensive equipment. This leak, it's happening right at your front desk. And it's so quiet, most practice owners have no idea it's even there. So let's follow the money and figure out exactly where it's all going.
$150,000. Yeah, you heard that right. According to research from the ONC, that is the average amount of revenue that a single practice loses every single year just from things like missed calls and scheduling headaches. I mean, that's a staggering number, right? And it's just leaking out one missed call at a time.
And look, this isn't just some theoretical number pulled out of a report. This is a real, tangible pain that people are feeling. I actually found this post from a dermatology practice owner over on Reddit, and it got almost 200 upvotes because, well, everyone could relate. They're talking about their amazing receptionist who's basically trying to do the job of 3 people. And what happens? Calls go to voicemail, patients get stuck waiting. It's just a classic case of a fantastic employee stuck in a totally broken system.
So, here's where it gets really crazy. They hit a financial breaking point. To try and cope with the call volume, they hired more staff, and their monthly payroll just exploded. We're talking from $8,000 a month to almost $30,000. Now get this, the practice was only netting about $35,000 a month in profit, so hiring just one more person would have literally wiped out their entire profit margin. The math just didn't work.
And believe me, this dermatology clinic is not an isolated case, not by a long shot. Let's look at another example, this time from a totally different angle. This is from a health IT manager who works for a primary care group with multiple locations, and they were facing a similar kind of operational meltdown.
So for 2 years straight, their practices were just stuck with this chronic no-show rate, somewhere between 22 and 24%. Just stop and think about that for a second. That means nearly 1 out of every 4 appointments on the books was a complete loss of revenue. They were just bleeding money from empty chairs day after day.
So what was their solution? Well, they had their front desk staff spend hours, I'm talking 2 to 3 hours every single day, just making outbound confirmation calls. And the result of all that effort? A contact rate of less than 10%. It was this massive, expensive effort that had almost zero impact, a total waste of time and money.
Okay, so that brings us back to the big question. How do all these little day-to-day problems actually add up to that massive $150,000 leak? Let's really break down the math here.
All right, the leak really comes from 4 key places. First up, industry data shows that practices miss up to 35% of their calls during business hours. Why? Well, because your staff is busy with the patients who are right there in front of them. Second, and this one is a really big deal, a shocking 75% of callers who get sent to voicemail, they just hang up. They don't leave a message, they just move on and call your competitor. Third, over 60% of your potential new patients are trying to get in touch with you after you've already closed for the day. And finally, you have to remember that every single one of those missed calls represents somewhere between $200 and $500 in lost revenue. You can see how this adds up, and fast.
So, the natural reaction for a lot of practice owners, just like that person on Reddit, is to just throw more people at the problem, right? The phone isn't being answered? Okay, let's hire another receptionist. But here's the thing, that's a trap.
And here's why it's a trap. Hiring more people just adds to your costs in a straight line. Another person means more payroll, more benefits, more management headaches, and it doesn't even solve the root problems like staff burnout or those calls that come in after hours. The real solution isn't just adding more people, it's upgrading the entire system. It's about building an infrastructure that can handle all this volume without you having to constantly add to your payroll.
And that right there is where something like an AI receptionist comes into play. And I want to be really clear. This is not just some fancy answering machine. It's a truly intelligent system. It's designed to answer every single call, 24/7, qualify the patient, and then book them directly into your electronic health record, your EHR system, all without a person ever having to pick up the phone.
And the process is incredibly fast. Let me walk you through it. A patient calls. The AI answers instantly, within a couple of rings. It quickly gets their info, their insurance. Then it checks your EHR in real time to see what's open and books the appointment right then and there. And boom, it sends an instant confirmation text to their phone. The whole thing, from the first ring to a booked appointment, takes about 30 seconds. No hold time, no voicemail, zero friction.
When you actually look at the new math, it's pretty undeniable. So you've got your in-house receptionist, right? That's thousands of dollars a month. And they can only handle 1 call at a time, only during business hours. Then there's the old-school answering service. A bit cheaper, sure, but they can't actually book anyone. They just take messages that your already swamped staff has to deal with later. But then you have the AI receptionist. It costs just a fraction of either of those options. It's always on. It books appointments automatically. And, this is key, it can handle an unlimited number of calls at the exact same time.
Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, but what does this look like in the real world? Let's check out a case study to see the actual impact.
All right, so this dental practice, Media Bright Smile Dental, they put an AI receptionist system in place. Before they did, their no-show rate was sitting at 14.2%. Afterwards, with all the automated booking, the instant confirmations, the smart reminders, their no-show rate dropped all the way down to just 5.8%. That's a 59% reduction. That is huge.
And what did that actually do for their bottom line? Well, by plugging those leaks from no-shows and missed calls, they saw a 57% increase in revenue. And the really important part here is that this wasn't about spending a ton more on marketing to get new patients. It was all about actually capturing the demand that they already had.
Okay, but now we have to talk about probably the single most important question for any healthcare practice. What about security? We're talking about sensitive patient data here. It needs ironclad security and compliance. So, how can you actually be sure that an AI vendor is safe to work with?
Here is a quick but absolutely crucial 5-point checklist. Number 1, they must sign a business associate agreement, a BAA. That's the legal contract that holds them responsible for protecting your data. Non-negotiable. 2, all data has to be locked down with strong modern encryption. 3, make sure they're using HIPAA-eligible cloud hosting. 4, they need to have detailed audit logs, so there's always a record of who accessed what and when. And finally, if you can, ask to see their SOC 2 Type 2 certification. That's basically an independent audit that proves their security is the real deal. Seriously, don't settle for anything less than this.
You know, all of this brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway from this whole discussion. The problem isn't your front desk team. Your receptionist is probably a superstar, just like that person in the Reddit post. The real problem is the system they're forced to work in. It's a system that was designed for a totally different era, and it's fundamentally broken when you try to apply it to today's world of patient expectations and call volumes.
To put it as simply as possible, the old math of running a front desk just by hiring more people, it doesn't add up anymore. The costs are too high, the inefficiencies are too big, and that revenue leak we talked about is just too severe. Automation is not a luxury anymore. For a practice to be financially healthy today, it's a flat-out necessity. So, I'll just leave you with this one last question to think about. If you could plug that silent leak and get that $150,000 back into your practice every single year, what would you do with it? Maybe invest in new equipment, offer better benefits to your amazing staff, or maybe just get some well-deserved peace of mind. The opportunity is right there, just waiting to be captured.